Hey guys, it's Jay here and welcome back to yet another episode of Take 2 on SoundStage. Today's a good one. We're looking at a speaker from DALI and it's the Menuet SE that blew me away in a kind of an interesting way. Now, this one was reviewed by Diego Estan on SoundStageAccess.com and you can read his review as well as by visiting SoundStageAccess.com or by clicking on the link below this video. Now, before I go into the actual review though, I can't help but notice people commenting on the fact that they can get a bigger, meaner looking speaker every time I review a small bookshelf speaker. And yes, you are absolutely correct. And it is a fact that you can. And especially for $1,800 USD that these speakers are coming in at, I am sure you can get a pretty decent floor standard for that price. But you can also get a floor standard for almost every price category. You can get a $300 floor standard. Why bother with a $300 bookshelf speaker? Well, the way I see it, and from my experience, other than the obvious fact that not everyone has the space for the floor standard and bookshelves may work better in some spaces, that's the obvious fact, which by the way is all valid and true answers, but also, speaker design is a compromise. There is no one perfect speaker that can do everything well at any given price point. So yes, the Menuet SE is a speaker that is very small, but it is a speaker that can do certain things extremely well as we will talk about in this review. It comes in a beautiful gloss wild walnut finish. The woofers are 4.5 inches and has a cone made of DALI's own wood pulp material, and only in the SC version, a fiberglass voice coil, which according to DALI is supposed to reduce mechanical loss and minimize distortion. The tweeters are a 1.1 inch silk dome, which honestly looks bigger in appearance because the cabinet itself is so very small. Also, the crossover in the SC is upgraded as you can see here. It is a pretty simple crossover using highly regarded Mondorf capacitors. And another special thing about these speakers is that they can be mounted on a wall using DALI's wall bracket, which can be had for additional $99. And this is possible in the tuning of the speaker as well because the bass port integrated in the terminal tray is tuned to be close to the wall. Now, as for the sound, like I suggested, it has its compromises like any other speaker. And on this speaker, as you may have guessed, it is the bass, which is really not a surprise given the physical size of the speaker. But at the same time, I was expecting a lot less bass than what I got here. These speakers are not without bass. Obviously, you are not going to get a thumping, room-shaking bass, but you do get a pretty decent punch out of these with good presence and warmth on the bottom end. That kind of adds to the lower mid-range when you have them set up correctly. You can choose to add a subwoofer if you want the room-shaking bass, but I found the bass in the Menuet SE very impressive for the size. The mid-range and a high frequency are where these really shine. The mid-range and a high frequency have incredible micro detail and layering to the instruments, and vocals that just draw you in. I can attest that this type of experience is what draws people into mini monitors in the first place, as it is something not even ultra expensive floor standards can let you experience. It's like riding a motorcycle versus a sports car. It is just an entirely different experience. Moreover, the Menuet SE here does it fabulously with a slight touch of warmth in the mid-range and spaciousness in the higher frequencies, which I found very musical in a very different way from other bigger size speakers I have reviewed in the past. Another very special thing about these speakers is that the voices are so very sweet, nuanced, and delicate. I could hear the singer's breath as they took their breath for their next lyric. I could hear their lips as they opened their mouth. I could hear the holding of the breath, holding all the air in as the performer performed portamento and the vibrato that accompanied it. My favorite part, however, was when I was playing acoustical music and some blues, as guitar is something I enjoy on a daily basis. Every time I heard glissando on guitar, which is basically a technique when you play slide slowly enough, I heard the delicacy and all the notes in between with such smoothness and emotion that it rang my soul. Again, much different from how I feel emotional when I listen to the same thing on a different speaker. It is one thing when the speakers have incredible body and scale due to the sheer size of the speakers, but this was more in the mind. I heard everything with my ears and felt nothing with my body. Yet it was musical and emotional, which I think is pretty darn impressive. Usually with mini monitors, I find them great in my head, but emotionally lacking because it lacks body and boldness to the sound. But here it was much different. Add a quality subwoofer like Rel's to these and I could feel with my body and emotionalize all I wanted while intriguing my mind of everything that a mini monitor is supposed to offer. But it doesn't just end there. The SoundStage on these are much bigger than any bookshelf speaker I have reviewed at any price, as a properly designed mini monitor should, and imaging is pinpoint, dead center imaging, and incredible separation between instruments and elements within the music. But it is not sharp or so focused that it comes across as lean and lifeless. Despite the speaker's size, I found everything was life-size and felt real rather than just being sharp notes. I love the fact that the high frequencies have this spacious presentation with air and sweetness so that it does not feel like dry, sharp notes again. Placement with this speaker is not hard, but vital in my opinion. When I placed these speakers out into the room about 3 to 4 foot from the wall on a 28-inch stand at an ear level to the tweeter, these sounded leaner than I would have liked, with the center imaging being a little bit higher than normal. But because DALI made the speaker to be well mounted, I thought of putting them closer to the wall, and when I did, it changed everything. It now had body to the sound with everything I described. Next, I put them on a 24-inch stand instead of the 28-inch stand, and the imaging was brought down and felt smoother and more musical to my ears. Now, these speakers are rated at 86 dB in sensitivity with a nominal impedance of 4 ohms, which is typical of mini monitors like these. People usually think smaller speakers need less power and bigger speakers need more. Not true at all. These speakers like some power. I personally use the Kinky Studio monoblocks for the most of my review, as I found that to be an excellent pairing. But I also enjoyed the NAD M33, which gave me more sense of air in the higher frequencies, but lacked a bit of warmth the speaker really needed. And I also tried the Name Supernate 3, which had really good bass, but took away a bit of the air and spaciousness, and things started to sound a little dry in comparison to the Kinky Studio monoblocks. As for low volume and medium level listening, these speakers excel at that, but if you play music really loud with really bass heavy music, this may not be the speaker for you, especially without a subwoofer. So there you have it. I think that if you are in a smaller space or imaging is very important for you, but you don't want to break the bank by getting something really high-end like the Magical speakers, then this is certainly a good choice and a bargain. So thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.